Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving celebrating your thankfulness over the last year with your family and friends. Today, I am in my kitchen and I am attempting to make apple cider donuts. For the first time in my life last week, my sister Dana and I went to Apple Hill. And in so doing, I had a taste of an apple cider donut that I found to be delicious. And so I can't get the donut out of my head. And so I've been researching recipes and looking for ways to recreate that without having to go to Apple Hill. For years, my sister Dana has been telling me I needed to go to Apple Hill. And so she was determined that another year would not go by without me so doing. And so she actually took time off work last week and she and I went to Apple Hill and had a great time going to the various apple farms and looking at their goods and wares, picking up items to purchase, and then stopping off before we came home and having a bite to eat. We don't really get to spend that much time together just doing that sort of thing. So it was a good time. And as a result of that, I found this apple cider donut that I am now obsessed with. And so I have a recipe here that I am going to be trying today. And I thought I would walk you all through the process with me, and we're going to take this journey together. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to whisk together, well actually let me back up. The first thing we're going to do is actually create a syrup, which you see here. I have been letting some apple cider, fresh apple cider, reduce on the stove. So you start out with 2.5 cups of apple cider and just put it on the stove and let it reduce down until it's about the measurement of a 1/2 cup of cider. We're going to set that to the side. In fact, I'm going to turn it off because it's been going for quite some time. And then we are going to take, and I have all my things measured out already. So we are going to take 3 3/4 cups of flour, along with how much? A 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So those are all in there. To that, we are going to add in a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and I'm gonna crunch it up and help it a little bit. In addition, we're gonna then add to the brown sugar, we're gonna add a 1/4 cup of ground nutmeg, a 1/4 cup of allspice, as well as I'm saying cup, I mean a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground allspice, as well as 2 teaspoons of cinnamon to our mixture. And we're going to whisk those items together. Let's see, I might need to get a bigger mixture. Bigger whisk. I don't know what's wrong with me. I can't seem to speak today. To the mixture, we are going to add 6 tablespoons of melted butter. So I'm going to melt it really quickly in the microwave. And let's see if I can melt it without causing it to overflow. I usually cannot, so we're going to see. check on it. Almost. Actually was able to do it. So we are going to take our dry ingredients, we whisk them together. I'm going to use a spoon to make sure that I get the lumps because I saw a few lumps in here. Then I'm going to stir in my melted butter, and I didn't overflow, amazingly enough, as well as 1/3 cup of unsweetened applesauce, and 1/3 cup of whole milk. So we're going to add all of that into our mixture. And according to the instructions, they said the dough is going to look shaggy at this point. I don't really know what that means, but we're going to trust the process and see what happens. So in addition to the items that we've already incorporated, we're also going to add in eggs, 2 eggs that were slightly beaten, as well as the yolk minus the white of an additional egg. And we're going to continue our mixing process. And the dough is coming together a little bit better. The next step in the process is going to be interesting in that we now take that apple cider that we have so lovingly reduced down to from 2.5 cups to 1/2 cup. We're going to then add that into this mixture. Let's see here. Make sure I'm getting everything okay. Okay. Now I am extremely cautious about this, so I'm going to move this, pour this into a smaller container so that I have more control over it. What you will see here with mine is that I actually have more because I put in about a cup more than was actually called for in the recipe because I just wanted to have a little bit extra. And so, and depending upon the type of cider that you start out with, that will most definitely impact the thickness, I should say, of the final product. So the instructions now call for, after you've mixed that in, the instructions call for you to cover the dough and let it chill in the refrigerator for about an hour. So once that process is complete, I will come back to you guys. Hey everybody, I'm back. So the dough has chilled, and once it has chilled for an hour, you then roll it out. You flour your board, roll it out, and to about a thickness of anywhere between a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch thick. And then you're going to cut out your donuts. And so I'm doing this. These are actually what I use when I'm making my biscuits. So hopefully it'll work just fine. There should be no issue. My issue is going to be in terms of getting the center, because I don't really have a small enough round form to use. So I am going to kind of play with this and see if I can create something that approximates the center. And I don't like the way that that's working, so I'm going to use something bigger. Also, we should be letting our oil heat up. It needs to heat up to 330 degrees Fahrenheit. Let me see where it is in that process. I need to use a different thermometer because this one doesn't go far enough. So, let's see. The goal is to get the oil to a temperature of 330 degrees. I think we're real close to being there, but I don't want it to go too far. So I am going to just do the center of my donuts. And I don't want my oil to get overheated, so I gotta have a note to self to get a smaller circle. And then we're gonna put our donuts on a lined piece of parchment, and we're just gonna let them sit and wait for their opportunity to cook. And it's only gonna take a couple of minutes for these babies to do their thing. So take our dough and reform it. We don't want to overwork it. I think we can get maybe 3 out of this. Let's see here. Trying to get an even amount. Let's see what we get. We just need one more. And I'm thinking my oil is hot enough. So I'm gonna let it cool just a little bit, because I don't want it to be overly hot when we put our donuts in. Look at that. I don't even think I need to. Yep, that's good. I'm gonna cut out the center. And these other 4. Sit these with the others. Oops. Be a little more gentle than I'm being with them. Now I'm in a hurry up mode because I don't want my oil to get all messed up on me. And we'll put our little donut holes here. And the final piece of all of this will be to place the donuts in, I guess it would be nice if you could see me. Once the donuts come out of the oil, to roll them in a mixture of granulated sugar and cinnamon. And that mixture is a cup of granulated sugar with 2.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. So I'm gonna grab that real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, you guys, we are back at it. Our oil is at 320 degrees and it needs to get to 330. Once it gets to 330, I expect the process is gonna move rather quickly because this is my first time doing this. I'm trying to make sure that I am extremely careful. We're at 325 degrees, 327, 28, 329, 330. One. And they say do 3 at a time. 2. That's what I'm doing. 3. I don't want them to be together. I want them to be apart. Trying to do like I see them do in donut shops where they have, when they're frying donuts and they use like chopsticks in order to turn them over when the time comes. So we are watching and waiting. I'm going to turn my temperature up just a tad bit because it's dropped below the 330 degree range and we want to keep it at that range. Because if we don't, then our donuts will be too oily. And the temperature is moving back up to where we need it to be, so that's great. I'm gonna flip these babies over. They flipped. Cool, very cool. I'm excited. And it's only supposed to take a couple of minutes for them to actually cook. They said about 2 minutes on each side. And so we about to see, y'all. We about to see. We about to see what it's gonna be. Hopefully I won't have made a big old mess. And I feel compelled to flip them again, even though it doesn't seem like they really need to be flipped again, but I'll do it one more time just to be on the safe side. And then my temperature has gone up a bit, so we wanna, when I put the next batch in, I'm gonna make sure that I'm paying attention to how much time is going by. before we flip them. Okay, so we're gonna take them out because I don't want them to overcook. And I'm placing them on a sheet tray that was lined with paper towels, and I'm placing the donuts on an actual rack. Because that's what the actual directions said to do. So that's what your girl did. And so, ooh, that was a little wonky. So I guess I need to be a little bit more careful with Terry, because you did a little high grease, girl, you burn. So I'm gonna take, Alexa, set a timer for 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Good afternoon, Terry. 1 minute and 45 seconds, starting now.
We're gonna take our donuts and roll them in our mixture. Oh, I'm so excited. They actually look like the ones I had. I'm excited. I don't know if they're gonna taste like the ones I had. You know, I'm very particular about fruit, in terms of believing that God made it perfect, so we don't need to cook it and mess with it. So I don't like cooked fruits. I think it has to do mainly with the texture, not necessarily with the taste. That being said, I don't like for things to have big pieces of fruit and the like in them. So I'm gonna flip these over because my temperature has risen slightly higher than I want it to. And so in order to ensure that I don't burn the donuts completely, and I'm gonna turn my temperature down so they're not gonna cook for 4 minutes, because they're cooking a tad bit faster than I actually intended. And just like that, I forgot what I was saying, so please pardon my back. I just want to make sure that I am watching this, because I don't want to have gone through all of this for naught and to end up burning them. That would be a most unfortunate circumstance. Alexa, off. And like I said, I'm going to turn the temperature down and let it cool down before I put the next batch in, because the temperature has risen up to 355, and that's too high. We want to really keep it around 330. And so we are gonna put this back on track. But they look beautiful, I will say that. And I'm gonna actually turn the fire off so that the temperature can drop down pretty quickly that way. In the meantime, we're gonna go and we're gonna roll these babies through our cinnamon and sugar mixture. And then set them, whoop, hot. I need to remember that. These things are hot. But they look great, you guys, so I'll give you a closer look momentarily. So I'm gonna get these. It's important that you roll them in the cinnamon and sugar mixture whilst they are hot. Otherwise, the sugar is not really gonna adhere. And you will have done all of this hard work, and the last step in the process will have been a fail. So, and we're gonna wait a minute or so before we move forward with the next batch, because that should help the oil to drop down faster. There we go. Yeah, it's dropped down 10 degrees already just by putting those in there. I'm looking at my watch for the time. These look so nice. I can't wait to show you guys. Oh, they look beautiful. I'm so proud of myself. I love it when a recipe comes together the way that you want it to. And that trick with turning the heat off has helped to regulate the temperature, because like I said, I had gotten all the way back up to 355, and so the second batch of donuts are darker than the first batch, which is fine, but we don't want to run the risk of burning our donuts and destroying all of our good work, and so we turned off the heat after I took the second batch out. And the temperature was dropping down, but not at really a fast enough pace. And so I decided to go ahead on and add in the next batch of donuts, and that immediately dropped the temperature down into a more reasonable range. And now we're back at now we're at 327. And so I'm gonna turn the temperature up just a tad bit, because we don't want it to drop too much below that 330. And so I'm gonna flip these again just because I'm being overly cautious. Out of an abundance of caution, I want them to be done all the way through. I would hate, like I keep saying, I would hate to do all of this great work only for them to burn on the outside and not be completely done on the inside. And so we want to give them adequate time to cook. And this is cool. This is the first time I've ever made these particular types of donuts. And so this is fun for me. I'm having a good day. And so thank you, Lord. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead on and get these babies out. And then we'll go ahead on and get our last batch of donuts in, and then we'll do our donut holes. This is better for me to do it this way, because I don't want to burn myself. Okay, so let's take this over and do run our donuts through the cinnamon and sugar wash. So the ones that are in the oil now, they should be about ready to be flipped by the time I get back over there. So, finish up this party, cinnamon and sugar party over here. I'm gonna take these babies back over, and we're gonna flip our last batch. Well. Okay. Oh yeah. Nice. And our temperature is getting a little too high, so we're gonna turn it down. I'm gonna turn it off for a second because it's gotten back up to 350. So when you step away, you gotta make sure that you're paying close enough attention to ensure that the heat doesn't get out of control. So I have turned the heat off and I'm waiting for it to calm down just a bit. Flip it again. I don't think you really have to flip it again. I'm just being overly cautious because, like I keep saying, I would hate to go through all of this and end up with donuts that are not done on in the inside, but are raw. Not raw on the inside, but burned on the outside. And so that would not be a fun way for me to end this experiment. So I'm gonna do this here. This. Flip. I'm gonna take these babies out. We're gonna let our oil cool just a tad bit whilst I send this last batch through the cinnamon sugar wash. I don't want to pick it up because it's hot and it just came out of, ooh. So I don't want to do too much with my hand with this because it is hot. And as I'm saying that, I'm picking it up anyway, so go figure. Yeah. Sometimes I amaze myself with the things that I choose to do. It's more easy to manage once you have some sugar coating on it. So they're so pretty. They're pretty, pretty, pretty. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, so let's get to this last batch here. Too far, putting all 12 of them in at once. I probably should have not done that, but we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Grab another roll of paper towels while these are doing their thing. just sit them here once they're done. Turn the heat up just a little bit because the temperature has fallen below 330. We don't want it to go too much lower than that. These probably need to cook longer than the actual donuts because the center is actually thicker than want to be careful and make sure that they're done before I start taking them out. Oh, and whilst I'm thinking on it, the oil that we're using, we used canola oil. The instructions said to use canola oil, and so out of an abundance of caution, I generally try to follow the directions precisely the first time I make a recipe. If I make these again and the way they look, I can't imagine that I won't be making them again. When I make them again, I may choose to use a different oil. I may use a vegetable oil, but because I also found recipes that called for the use of vegetable oil instead of canola oil. But because I chose this particular recipe, I thought it would be prudent to make certain that I followed the recipe in its entirety. Ouch, ouch, ouch. At least this first time, like I said. So we are going to run our donut holes through our cinnamon sugar bath, is what I'm calling it. Just want to make sure that everybody gets into the hot tub in a reasonable time frame. Okay. Let's set these to the side because I'm going to give them some more love momentarily. Oops. I am so excited. I have this love for donuts, but most of the time I can't really eat them because they're too sweet. But I get so much joy out of making things that I generally don't have to eat a great deal of it if I've had the privilege and honor of being able to make it. So this is very exciting to me. So, but yes, I am going to taste this and make sure that it meets my standard. But I'm very excited. I will tell you that. Very excited. So we're gonna make room on this tray for these donut holes. So I don't have to mess up any more dishes. Okay. So, here we go. We got a dozen apple cider donuts and a dozen apple cider donut holes. And so, I'm gonna break one open because I wanna see what it looks like on the inside. Let's see here. Ooh, okay, see that? Yep. They taste good. They taste very good. I like it. So I'm gonna be doing it again. I'm trying not to talk with my mouth full, but they're really good. Apple cider donuts. I Googled the recipe, looked at several of them, found one that I thought I would like, and I made it. And it turned out pretty darn good, if I do say so myself. So, the next time you feel like having something sweet, pull out a couple of ingredients and take a look at Dr. T's kitchen, then pull out your ingredients and make some apple cider donuts. And let me know how you like them. All right, I will see you guys next time. God bless. And remember that as we know more in life, we have a responsibility to do better. Be blessed. Thank you.